YouTube, we can think about it as like an application program interface, an API that I don't have to leave Zoom, but Zoom gives a connection to YouTube and we are live. There is a bit of latency there, right? But what does latency mean? That there's going to be some delay because we're hopping to different servers. We got our Zoom server and then we're hopping to our YouTube server. So there will be some delay, but for us, it doesn't matter. We're just talking. It's not going to be so time sensitive that 30 seconds or a minute delay is not going to make any difference to us. Okay. And then Isa, you'll check on everyone in terms of their presence here that I can see everyone. Okay. So Ava Moran, when is our exam? Do you remember? When's our exam? Maria, when's our exam scheduled?
Next Wednesday, I believe.
What date?
Um, is that the 24th, 25th?
No. So it's good. You'll be there ready, Maria, and it's the wrong day. So when is it? Who can tell her?
It's March
That'll be
4th,
March
right?
4th.
March 4th. Okay. So everybody put it in your calendars, put it anywhere that you have. You don't want to sleep through it. You don't want to be on Zoom, right, Maria? And then you go, oh my God, the exam is today, right? So it's March 4th. Is it in person or online? Hunter, in person or online? Sorry, you're chewing. So
It's in
okay.
person.
It's in person, right? It's in person. Everybody put that in your notes that it is in person. And it will be on the lab's computer. You will be taking it on in the lab, but guess what? You will not, it is a closed notes, it is closed book, closed no AI. It is just what's in your head. It will be on the computer. There will be two parts. One part will be multiple choice, like the quizzes that we've taken. The other part will be open-ended. Next Monday, I will start giving you a study guide where what topics will be covered, what multiple choice questions, types of questions will be covered. And in the open-ended questions, you can think about it. In this case, Luke, is there so many questions, open-ended question I can ask you, is I'm going to give you approximately 8 to 10 questions ahead of time, and I'll choose 2 to 3. So in that case, you'll be able, Luca, to see that you have an idea of what to study. Okay? Because then it can be overwhelming, right, Maria? It's like, well, what could possibly be there? So we want you to be focused. You can use AI to study. So let's start. Let me share my screen. I'm going to go full screen. And I want you, Luca. Do you see my screen, Luca? Where I'm going to go. What do you see on my screen, Luca?
The YouTube live stream.
YouTube Live, we see some people upside down, but most of the people, and notice in the corner here, it says powered by Zoom and also has a logo of who owns this subscription. And notice you can see me talking with my hands on YouTube and it's lagged behind. Okay, so that's working. We want to check that out. So theoretically, anyone in the world could view our class. Okay, we had the Zoom, and what do we want to be able to do is, Ava Falcone, is if we want to know what's due, where do we go?
The what's due section.
Exactly, right? Like Marie, everybody knows, I'm not sure what date it is. I'm not sure what's happening here. It's the what's due section. And in this case, we see a couple of what's due. First of all, everyone I want to attend this Friday, February 20th at 12 p.m. If you have a class that starts at 12:20, go ahead and log in at 12 o'clock, even log in a couple of minutes early and get with your miami.edu, keep it running, and then you can even mute it or put it on low, and we can do this. This is the link for the webinar. Make sure if you haven't done that, is make sure that you've registered and send it to, make sure that you send it to ESA in this case. And then if you look at the Wix, they call it Wix University, this is what we're going to be doing. Launching your site with the Wix editor. Join this team for an interactive session on building your online presence with the Wix seminar. And in this case, this is what's important to us. When and how will I receive the premium code for the Wix upgrade? This is essential for us to get. And if you attend the full session and register with your student email, you'll receive, and this is the important thing, a 1-year free Wix premium code plus a 1-year domain via email by the end of the week. I'm not sure, ESA, when that's going to actually be. So we'll check, Lily and the others will check, and myself, when are we going to get the Wix code, and then we can make sure then we can send it to you, ESA, your class that everybody has. We'll be able to see who has Wix code. Okay? And this was, will we get the slides or any other materials? What if I can't stay the whole time? They want you to stay the whole time. Okay? And it's no more than an hour, you know? So I think it's from 12 to 1 p.m. on that. Okay, that's one. Number 2, Monday, February 23rd before class. Is this where you got confused in this case? Is if you did, on Monday, we have a number of things. We need to read chapter 4, the information security. You need to do the adaptive assignments everybody knows with Wiley. You need to do the quizzes as well. You know, this is, do you see this, ESA? This says Wiley reading plus adaptive and then additional quizzes. Adaptive assignment. This shouldn't say Wiley. This should just say quizzes.
Okay, we'll change it.
Do you see that, ESA?
Yes.
And is that on everyone? Can you be so kind?
Yeah, let me go
see?
look.
Because this is incorrect. You know, it's like this should be just quizzes, not Wiley. You can easily fix that. And if you can be so kind to see if you can fix it for the other sections as well.
Sure.
Okay. And then you'll see for Monday, everybody see this? This is a reading that I want you to do called, wait a minute, let me just go back here. Is cybersecurity. I'm going to put this in another tab. I'm going to open this in a new tab. And this is called cybersecurity. Everybody see this? Maria, you see this one? You see this URL? I'm going to copy this URL and put it in my notes. So you can see that this is in my notes right here. Now, this is that part. And then if I looked at this article, this talks about cybersecurity in higher ed, which we know something about, right? Hunter, we know about higher ed. And it talks about what are the risks for universities, what are the best practices, and what is the framework. And they talk about these cyber threats expanding on our campuses. and what are ways in which universities can protect themselves. And this is an article about it, talking about all of this information. All of this information, in this case, Hunter, is really, a lot of it is covered in the chapter readings as well. Something like this could be some open-ended questions for you to answer. So, what is the next part that we need to do is under the audit assignment, we have something called AI powered research assistant assignment. And where do you find that? If you go under audit assignments, you'll see right here, this assignment, you'll be looking at an assistant that will help you. And what I want you to do is everyone in this class be familiar with this product, and it's good for reviewing readings. And what's coming up, we said, Marie, on March 4th is our exam. So for our project, for this assignment, instead of just putting in any readings there, why not prepare for our exam? What do you think, Maria? Why not each person in your group pick another chapter for the exam, and then each person does it, and then you'll do one assignment that each person does a tutorial. You'll be able to see what this tool does. And then the following week, Maria, guess what? You'll meet as your group, and each person will discuss their own chapter. Plus, you'll be talking about, in general, what are the pros and cons of this software to help, and who can it help? And the beauty here, Maria, is we will also prepare for the exam, because I am encouraging you to use AI tools to prepare for the exam. I'm not the professor who's going to say, don't do it. It's like, it's antithetical to my thinking, right? But when you're taking your exam, not like your homeworks, it will be closed notes, closed book, everything. But you will be prepared, Marie. If you take the time, you'll be prepared, and you'll say, hey, there were no surprises. That's how I want you to view it. And you can see, if you look at this part, this is a thing that you should do now with your group. You can text your group here, and we've made a sample. One of my TAs made a sample using chapter 1. And everybody in your group then pick a chapter. So Maria, you will, let's say you say, I'll take TG1, you don't want anyone else to take that. And otherwise, TG2, chapter 5, and chapter 1. And don't take chapter 1, because that's already done for you. That's the key. And if you look, and what I always do is, by example, this is where I see it best. If you go to your audit area, and I go to assignment groups for the sample, which group should I go to, Maria, to see the sample?
Group 0.
Mm-hmm. And for today, Maria, a good idea is just even to have one person in your group make a folder. You know how to make a folder, right, Maria? So your folder should be AI-powered research assistant assignment. And what I would do is already, Maria, put your name and the chapter you're going to use. We already have chapter 1 for you. And here you see your Zoom cloud recording, your notebook audio link, your video, your Zoom companion. Have it produced for you, Maria, 5 multiple choice questions. And also the answers. Is that clear, Maria?
Yes.
Perfect. So now what I want to start giving you a preview to is chapter 4, which is information security. And I want to use Notebook LM to show you how it works. Is that a good idea? What do you think, Maria?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go to Notebook. I'm just going to do this. Notebook LM. I'm going to take out even the google.com. And you see here, if I look at Notebook LM, this is the product. It's your research and thinking partner grounded in information you trust with the latest Gemini models. What are Gemini models? Just like OpenAI has ChatGPT, Google has Gemini. And what you do is you upload your sources, which can be PDF, websites, YouTube videos, audio files, and since it's Google Docs and Google Slides. So if I have, let's do this. If I have my PowerPoint, let's see if it'll come up, right? And my PowerPoints were here, right? You remember in Blackboard, where do I find my PowerPoints? Under PPT and documents, right? You have 4 as a PPTX. So if I think about it, in this case, Catherine, Google Notebook LM will not read directly a PPTX. They're in competition with Microsoft, so they don't want to give them they want to encourage people to use their products. But what can I do, Catherine, is I can open up my PowerPoint and do file, save as Adobe PDF. Do you see that, Catherine? And then I can upload. So I have, in this case, if I looked at it, I have my PowerPoint, and if I looked at my slides here, right? I have my slides of my PowerPoint. This is about data I wanted about, in this case, security. And I would then go to my security one, and information security. It starts talking about vulnerabilities. It talks about threats. It talks about the open case. It talks about information security, threats, exposures. So you could read through the PowerPoints and get some idea of what to do. But let me just minimize this. But what I'd like is when I using my Google here, you can see I can upload it. I can get study guides, briefing, frequently asked questions, timeline. I can get an audio overview. I can use it for power study, spark new ideas. And this is just kind of what people are saying. So all you have to do is you have to have a Gmail account, and put it in your notes, Maria, that you need a Gmail account that's not your own personal one. And when you say try, it loads my notebooks. And notice you can have many notebooks. Notice you can see here I have many notebooks, and you can see, for instance, I have one for information security threats and vulnerabilities, right? And instead of just that one source, let me just show you here. Instead of that one source, I can put in several sources. So you see here, add a source. You remember, Maria, we were talking about, you remember that I can copy even that article that I told you to read? You can copy that article here, the URL, right? You remember that I told you, you can copy this URL for that article to read. Let it help you understand that article. And then you can just do, an edit copy and then just copy it here. So when I look at, notice it will then create audio and video overviews from the articles. You can do it. You can upload your files, websites, copy even text to it. So this column right here are my sources. So here's my Rayner PowerPoint, chapter 4. Here's another article I got for information system security, is about threats, risks. And here's that article for cybersecurity. So if I wanted just to create flashcards, or if I wanted to create an audio overview, I could uncheck some of my sources, like for the open article, and say, help me just understand that open article. Go ahead, or use all of them, or just on some of them, uncheck and just do it on the PowerPoint. I can do it all along. And what I want you to do in your, and then I could just say select all. In yours, you can see here are my sources. Here is just like ChatGPT. So I can start asking questions. I'm not sure about what is a threat. What is a threat in a university environment? Whatever you want to ask, just like before. Or I want 5, right? And you would get it, and then it would find, just like anything else, it would find the relative information. What is a threat? And it says in a university environment, a threat is a danger to which systems, policies, and people powering teaching research are exposed. Because colleges and universities store massive amount of data. What are they? Student personal records, financial details, valuable research. They're high value. And then they talk about what kind of attacks. There's something called ransomware. They can attack and paralyze entire networks. They have phishing and social engineering. For sure, you're going to need to know that. Cyber espionage. They show you the sources. Isn't that great? But also what they have is, you can see, you remember securing the open campus for that article? So in this case, I can expand it for that whole article. It created a slideshow for me. Isn't that amazing? So this is the open campus paradox, securing academic freedom in a hostile digital landscape. And it's just, and look how elaborate it did it without anything, just taking that one URL. And it tells me what higher education holds the digital crown jewels. And here's like the university. What does it hold? Student data, staff. That's going to be personalized information here, identifiable information. It's going to store HIPAA, which is health. It's going to store financial data, financial aid, donors, financial operations, high value, key insight. And you can see it creates, isn't it amazing? It can create then an entire slideshow that you can view as a slideshow. So this was, if I looked about it, right? If I looked at my ones that I have, this is my information ones. You can see that I did this on that. I also asked, go ahead. You see infographic? Go ahead and give me an infographic. Give me just one slide that tells me about that article. And look how amazing that is. First of all, how colorful. It looks a lot nicer than the PowerPoints that they give in the textbook. They talk about the cybersecurity risks. We always are going to have risk on security. Just like we have risk, if you have a car, there's a risk that somebody's going to steal it, somebody's going to break into your car, somebody's going to break into your apartment, somebody's going to break into your room. And how do you protect yourself? So here they give you ideas, these attacks on education. They're trying to get data. What's the price of being attacked? Phishing attack. Nearly every institution reports phishing incidents. Basically, other people pretending to be somebody else trying to get your information. And then basically, what's the cost to it? And especially to our hospital, it's enormous. Think about it. All of a sudden, you can't do surgery because they've broken down and they won't let us look at what is the surgery schedule or the data about you. So you can look at that. And in essence, you can go back and you can see loading all my notebooks there that I have my sources. And then you can see here that I have my sources of everything that I can do on my campus, right? And then you can also see that security flashcards. And this is tremendous. So let me just open this up. And you can see here, let me just go to one. Let's just go to. You can see different questions that they posed, on terms social engineering. What is social engineering? If I think about social engineering, anybody hear the term schmoozing? It's basically an attack where perpetrators use social skills to trick employees into providing confidential information. So basically, somebody, for instance, Maria, is befriending you and, starts a friendly conversation. And then, later on, they may try to say, I can't get onto the internet here. Can I use your phone? Or I can't get on the internet. Can you log in from my phone? And then if you really want more information, what do? You can explain the answer. And then they're checking the response and you get further information. So this is amazing where you can do, why is social engineering considered a particularly dangerous threat? What is the primary goal to that? What is information extortion? And then it'll do, how does a computer virus differ from a worm regarding the method of spreading? And then if I wanted to, a virus basically needs, the way it's defined in the book, it needs a user to click on something, or it needs another program to activate another program. Whereas a worm, it just spreads by itself. So you can see that these are terms in which we can do that. You can look at your security flashcards that you can see that you've done. You can get quizzes, so it will give you quizzes like we did before, a brief that we can think about. So in a security brief, they'll give you definitions, and this is nice. So at this point, this is about information security. So in terms of you have why the hackers, you can see then on your information security.
Let's talk about information security, how we understand the threats and build up our defenses. We'll explore the vulnerabilities we all face and how we can build a strong defense against them. So, there are 5 key factors that are making our digital world more vulnerable than ever before. These things create a perfect storm, It exposes our most sensitive information to new risks. The biggest threats aren't always malicious. A lot of the time, they're just accidental. Simple mistake.
So you can think that there's accidental, unintentional, and this creates, if you can
actually open the door for some pretty major security breaches. But some threats are pretty clever. They manipulate our tendency to make these exact mistakes. Yeah, it's a form of hacking that targets people, not just computers. So, besides the accidents, let's look at the actual tools in a hacker's arsenal. First, you've got a virus. This thing needs you to run an infected program to spread.
So you remember phishing attacks uses this. If you like the audio, it provides audio as well. So these are, when I go to my studio again, you can see that I can do an audio overview. I can do a video overview. So in this case, you can see all of those when I'm doing it. You can see it creates quizzes. It does flashcards. It does a study guide. And then I can look at it in this case, cybersecurity, the defense, and then navigating information, the modern threat landscape, that who is the greatest risk is the human. Employees, basically in HR and IT, pose high threats. The type of attacks, denial of service, espionage, identity theft, social engineering tactics. You remember we talked about social engineering, that we try to befriend somebody, and how do we defend it? One of the things is we know there's going to be a risk. We have to decide as a company how we're going to control it. So we have physical controls, like we're going to put locks on doors. We're going to use our badges, right? In order to get into buildings, you need to use your badge. We can have access. How are we going to get into our computing systems, our networks, multi-factor authentication? Everybody's familiar with multi-factor authentication. The access is granted how? By user identity, by the possession, specific knowledge. And then we also have to think about what happens if there's a problem, a security problem. How are we going to continue planning as a business if there's a disaster? If there's a physical disaster, like what? Like a hurricane, or that somebody attacked our systems. A hot site means that we can get up and running somewhere else off campus. Our operations are maintained. Or a cold site, at least we have another building that we can go to. A lot of times, if there's issues, they say go on Zoom. But these are issues in which you get this cybersecurity defense. So all of this, you notice you can share, you can go for more options. You can download it. Isn't this nice? You can download the viewer. You can make it larger. So these are all the things that you can do on your site that's available to you, and it's based on it. So if I want to, I can go, and I'm going to be trying it. I can go. And what I want you to do on any of those of putting in your sources is you want to go through all of these and discuss all these points. Some of these take longer than others. So what I would do, for instance, sometimes audio overviews, video overviews have issues. So it takes a longer period of time. So you may want to even have it downloaded before you describe it. and not waste your time, or put it on pause, in which you can decide what you want to do. So you can also do what they call a mind map. Look at this. This is information security. And in information security, we talk about the introduction to information security. Let me make this large so we can all see it. So let me make it a little bit larger here. We can zoom in. So on information security, I can think about the introduction. What is the definition of security? What is the definition of information security? What is a threat? What am I exposed? And what is the vulnerabilities? And I say, oh, I want to know what a threat is. And notice in the threat, it comes back and describes, in terms of discussions of a threat in a larger context, you can see that. In other words, you can see here in a threat, let me just make this larger. I want to zoom. I want to make, in terms of this larger, I need to know what the difference, and I guarantee you for the exam, I need to know the difference between what is a threat, what is the exposure, and how vulnerable am I? And for vulnerability factors, it's what? If I'm on the internet, I'm vulnerable. Having smaller, faster devices make me more vulnerable. It doesn't take much now with AI for a hacker to get skills. Organized cybercrimes, even that. And many times management isn't aware of all the hacking. I have sometimes unintentional threats, like from all my users. I didn't mean to click on a link. I got an email and it told me that the president wants a gift card. And I go ahead and click on a link. So under unintentional threats, it can be human errors that we talked about, people in our organization, or it can be social engineering. Everybody wants to be friendly. Everybody wants to be cooperative. So we don't know everyone. So somebody can then manipulate employees, and then they can get confidential information. Human errors could be what? From human resources to carelessness with my devices, questionable emails, poor passwords, right? I just left my computer in the library. I don't pay attention to my managed devices. Somebody threw away some equipment. They can get some things. You can think about deliberate threats, or even in this case, a problem that you can think about. We talked about the idea of espionage, identity theft, software attacks. If I want to know about software attacks, these are my software attacks, some requiring a user action, some requiring no user action. If it requires user action, what does it mean? The difference between a virus, a worm, phishing, spear phishing, whaling. Some software on my machine I'm not even aware of. As well. So what do you think, Maria? Just with Google Notebook LM, you just upload the source. And what I want you to do as a tutorial is see what are the different studio applications you can do with that source. Some, when you want to get it to be done as a podcast, can take longer. Some you want it to create a slideshow, can take longer. So before you start recording, you may even want to have it done, and then you can talk about it. Because some may take a number of minutes downloading. And everybody take another chapter, and you already have a number of different ways that you can study. You can go around and you can, if you like, take a walk and listen to the audio podcast. If you like, you can have it elaborate. If you like, you have everything in the source there. You can just go to one source and just add. prompting questions. What do you think, Maria?
I think it's going to be really helpful to study for the test, and overall, like for us to study for any test at all, it's a very useful tool to have.
And for any business, you have to
Yeah.
have all these readings.
Hmm.
I'm a CEO. I don't have time. My voice is going. Isa, you want to take over?
Yes, sure. Are you feeling better? Okay, you're muted now. I can share my experience with Notebook LM.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I took this course, I think Notebook LM was definitely super helpful because what I would do is I would make podcasts out of lectures and different material that we had to cover. And I would just, if I'm going on my daily walks or doing whatever, just listen to them as I'm walking. And I actually retained so much information that didn't require me to sit at a desk and read over and over again. So that's my best recommendation that I can make when it comes to studying for tests, just really knowing the terms and knowing how to explain them, especially because you have open-ended as well. So that's how I best use Notebook alone, but there's a lot more features now that you can explore, and you guys will see that in your assignment as well.
Thank you, Isa.
Of course.
So I want you to be able to know what is available. So not only, Maria, for you as a student, but for businesses as well. That basically they have so many readings to do. They need to read some financial data. They need to do some readings before a meeting, an important meeting. They're in their car. Can they prepare for their meetings? You can tell them, I'm a CEO. I want it direct. I want a 5-minute description. I want an in-depth description. So if you can take attendance.
Let's do it.
And on Monday, I'll go more into the security since you've already have done it, read it, and we'll talk about the exam, giving you a study guide, and we'll do preparations for that. I want to have a guest speaker next week too from the area of security to allow us to get in-depth knowledge about security, how companies are using the cybersecurity and controls.
5400.
Perfect. And make sure by the end of today that you check with your group to make sure that you're using another chapter and everyone in your group knows it. I would even post it. So you would ready take it. So for Maria, I already post what you're going to do. Put it there and then tell the other groups pick another chapter. Because it really doesn't matter, right? What chapter you use. But you may want to choose maybe chapter 4 because you have to read it anyways and prepare. You know what I mean? So this way, one less helps you in the readings for chapter 4. And even doing this, it'll help you with the quizzes and the adaptive assignment. Stay with me if you have extra questions. I apologize, my throat went crazy, but we got
Bye. Thank you.
Of course.
Hi, Professor. I was gonna ask you a question.
person. Go for it. Let me stop recording, okay? Remember, everybody need to know. Maybe